The Fate of Banquo Soliloquy by Naveen Rao, Jonathan Perry, and Nate Stern. So this is the Macbeth quote book. We have sure versus hesitant with quotes in there explaining how Macbeth is hesitant in some scenarios when he's talking in his soliloquy, and in some other scenarios he's completely sure of what he's saying. And on the other side, it says outside guidance, where he requires that he needs a prophecy for pretty much everything that he says. He wants a prophecy for what he does, he wants vindication from something else. So first off, we're going to start with sure versus hesitant. So what do you want to do, Macbeth? He's never sure what he wants to do. He makes outlandish goals, then backtracks a few lines later in the soliloquy. He's completely unsure of what he wants to say. But Banquo, whose being do I fear, whose being I do fear, then he says, though it be so, for Banquo's issue have I followed my mind. He's completely fearful of Banquo in one, and he sounds a little fearful in his speech. And then in another, he's just completely convicted on what he's saying. His Banquo's issue has filed his mind, which is that he wants to kill him, and he's going to go right for it. Macbeth tries to validate his own feelings, rewinding and second-guessing his own thoughts. Clearly, he isn't sure what he's going to do. I mean, he's just constantly stuttering over himself, even right here. Even in these two lines, you can just see that he rewinds, backtracks everything. Back to the Macbeth quote book. Now we're going to go to outside guidance. He chid the sisters when they first put the name of king upon me, versus prophet like they held him to a line of kings. So we're going to take a look at this. So in outside guidance, he chid the sisters again, and then that's highlighted. So Macbeth is only sure when the three weird sisters, the witches, assure his plans. He compares himself to Banquo in quotes 1 and 2. Quote 1, he is talking about the king upon his name, and then later the king upon a father, his line. So Banquo's sons are going to become king, and he is going to be left out of the picture. He's going to be completely pushed away, and he's clearly seeing this within the witch's prophecy. And then later on, referring back to the prophecy, Macbeth uses the prophecy as a tool to guide his decision-making, and he's really just focused on that prophecy to guide his decision-making, nothing else. Due to what the witches said, Banquo is his biggest threat, and he's completely sure of it, and he has no other idea. Now to Naveen for her slides.
As Macbeth continues to ramble on about seizing control and maintaining power over the throne, he starts deciding to act on his, beslubbering impulses. With his main fear being rooted in his power being given to the common enemy of man, we see holes begin to form in Macbeth's soliloquy. On one hand, we see Macbeth's reliance on the guidance of others, and yet, it seems without guidance from those around him, his paranoia begins to seep through as he continues to rattle off about his genius being rebuked under his fear of Banquo finding out the truth. The fixation on this insecurity culminates in Macbeth making some extremely questionable decisions purely off of impulse alone, namely attempting to end Banquo's bloodline in an effort to defy the witch's prophecy.
So today we're going to be getting into a crucial question, which is Macbeth's choice to kill truly his? So Macbeth, throughout his little murder fixation he's having, where he's definitely not going insane, is almost always referencing other people's help and guidance, although he thinks he's so strong and that he's taking things into his own hands. For example, Macbeth mentions that Banquo had the wisdom that doth guide his valor to act in safety. There is none but he whose being I do fear, and under him my genius is rebuked. So, he's pretty fearful of him since he believes him to be wise and more knowledgeable about how to make correct decisions in regards to safety. But where did that come from? Did he truly think it was such a big issue before, or was it only because of the prophecy that the three witches conjured up for him? His every action is based on all the ideas that have been implanted in his head by other people. For example, towards the end of his tiny rant, he says, to make them kings, the seed of Banquo's kings, rather than so, come fate into the list, and champion me to the utterance. This is basically him saying, I would rather fight fate itself than ever let his sons take over my crown. And who was the biggest person in his ear convincing him of all these things, who made sure that his resolve on getting the crown never wavered, and enabled him to enact his bloody goal to completion? his wife. Before the king was killed, he was a little softy that couldn't even dream of killing anyone for any purpose other than war or honor. But then he kept getting influenced by what other people were telling him, and this ended up playing a huge part in his own decision to take the life of one of his dear friends.